rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have roll call. Terry Sachs here. Marla Haxford here. Chuck Light here. Andrew Belmore here. Paul Maxey here. Tom Manning here. Terry Federer here. Announcements of township meetings are recorded for the purpose of preparing the minutes, and the recordings is destroyed 6 months after the minutes are approved. It is requested that all persons wishing to speak before the board shall state their name, address, and the subject matter upon which they wish to speak for the record, in the interest of the facilitating business of the board. All persons addressing the board shall be limited to 2 minutes, unless such time is extended by the chairman for good cause. Individuals are requested to remain in their seats and to respect when other persons are speaking. The Board of Supervisors will provide a reasonable opportunity for citizens to comment on any non-agenda items after all agenda items have been addressed, but prior to the adjournment of the public meeting adopted 1/30/18.
And just to remind everyone, when you do make comments, this table here is for people to come forward. That's just the way it's going to be. We need to be able to hear you. Our minute taker needs to be able to hear you, and it cuts down on the chatter, so that's what this table is for.
We're going to have the approval of the minutes. We'll do one at a time. November 7th, 2018.
The motion be to approve.
I move to approve the November 7th, 2018 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second. So you want to move to the next?
November 27th.
I move that we do November 27th.
I'll second.
For any questions? Can we have a vote?
On November 27th?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Can we have a motion for December 18th, 2018?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions? A vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to number 5, the administrative action. Approve to pay January invoices and accept treasurer's report.
It's it's your staff's recommendation to approve both the invoices and the January treasurer's report.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Any questions? A vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we'll move on to public comment. Do you have any public comment for any item on the agenda tonight?
Phil Member, I don't have a comment for something on the agenda, but I do have a concern I'd like to share with the board tonight when the time will be appropriate.
Would you please hold that to the end, because there's another public comment period at the end.
That's fine.
Any other public comment? Yes. You want to come down here? Don't be afraid.
Donna Irick, Spring Road. I was just wondering why November 7th minutes weren't approved.
From a technical perspective, there was no second, so they could not proceed to take a vote. But I think, as I understand it, there's still some back and forth of trying to just finalize the minutes.
Thank you. Is there any other comment? Not, we'll move on. Goshen Road Sidewalk Project. Carol, I guess you
Sounds like me. Thank you. All right, can everybody hear me?
So the Montgomery County Planner, Julia, is working to prepare an application for funding a sidewalk along Goshen Road under the Montgomery County 2040 Implementation Grant. That application is due March 1st, which is about 3 weeks away now, 3.5 weeks. The township has been advised that a shovel-ready project stands a better chance of award than online on a Google map. So, and for your reference tonight, I've given you the line on Google Map to see what we're talking about. But if the board wants the best chance in obtaining this grant, we would have 3 weeks to pull together a preliminary design plan. The proposed sidewalk design would require a topographical and location survey to collect data for a base plan, engineering design of the sidewalk and the accessible ramps, and depiction of the property and right-of-way boundaries. I believe we can assemble such a preliminary plan in that time frame and update the estimate of probable cost for that project for no more than $6,000 to have a preliminary plan for the grant application. To get to a final plan, there will be more work required. Unless the board wishes to narrow Goshen Road, the proposed sidewalk will add more than 1,000 square feet of impervious area to the right-of-way. And by township ordinance, that requires stormwater management. So stormwater management design requires soil testing, additional survey, engineering calculations, plan preparation, and also an erosion and sediment control program. That would be another investment. Envisioning that would be in the range of an additional $7,000 in work, but authorization for that could be delayed until you've been notified of grant award. So if the board would like to proceed with that, I'd ask you to authorize us to go forward. Again, I'm looking at a time and material basis. I don't expect to exceed $6,000 to get to a preliminary plan by the end of this month and an updated cost estimate to attach to the modular 2020 grant application.
I have some questions. So who owns this land?
So the line as it's shown is entirely in township right-of-way. There's a 50-foot wide right-of-way for Goshen Road, and the pavement there is approximately 30 feet wide.
And how long is this site?
That was over 800 feet.
I thought we were looking at a sidewalk that was more than the vicinity of 450 feet.
That's the other side of the road.
Well, I thought that was what we were looking at, the other side of the road.
That would
We
be up to
originally discussed it. So this is a different project. We originally talked about it as a shorter piece. There would be a lot less money.
There were two options that were presented before the supervisors. One was for the storm basin side, and then the other one was for the side that Carol has depicted in her map.
And what would be the approximate cost of constructing this 800-foot sidewalk?
The original estimate we prepared was in the range of $90,000 to $100,000 just based on linear feet of sidewalk. That's without a design to find out what grading is required and what stormwater management would be required.
And how much are we looking to get from the grant?
I believe it was 85% grant and 15% local match.
Now, will the grant money cover any of the engineering costs?
They did have soft costs as part of the grant money, yes.
And why are we not exploring the other side?
That is completely up to the board. I have a sketch of the other side from the last time we talked about this. That's it. Just this one. There are some benefits to the other side of the road. One, it's shorter. The second is it's a little less complicated for grading. But it's really a question of what the residents would be most likely to support, because you do need the support of the residents for the 2040 grant application.
So why would residents not support the shorter sidewalk? What are the issues involved there in terms of residents with the putting on the other side of the road.
Well, you're gonna have to have cooperation from the residents at the end of either sidewalk section. That would be one issue.
Has anyone spoken to them?
So I have spoken with that individual that lives in that property
On the
in
corner?
the corner.
Uh-huh.
I'll show you something up.
This one. Okay.
In his honest words, he said, I would prefer it to be the other side. Now, pretty much everybody I spoke with, up and down and throughout the entire community, said either side is fine. So, he was the one person that just said, you got to go with the other side.
So there's only one person impacted, is there? This is not.
That's not,
Well, I think it would be helpful for our purposes to have something more concrete than I prefer it wasn't there.
everybody else, and there's a petition that was signed that indicated they just want to see a sidewalk that extends to Grimley Road. So what I'm trying to say again is one person said he could care less. He would prefer to see it on the other side. Everybody else said, I can care less what side it's on, as long as it's on a side to connect to
But he
Grimley.
didn't say he was against having it.
That's correct.
His-
Correct.
He's aware that might be a possibility,
He is aware, yes.
and he did not object.
He said again, I'm going to repeat myself, he said again that he would prefer to see it on the other side.
The reason I'm clarifying is we had an issue with the sidewalk grant application last year where we did not clear it clearly with the residents, and so that's why I'm asking you.
No,
Again, because
I appreciate
the
it.
whole thing went up in smoke.
I appreciate
Because
it.
we didn't ask people.
I do note that the person that circulated the petition is in this room tonight, and I think it would be wise to have that resident give some feedback as well as that resident spoke with a number of other residents prior to me learning about the petition. I think it would be wise if she would be willing to speak, and that resident is Dana Valente, if she would be willing to speak.
We'll take questions later.
Should we go front?
Please.
Yes.
Dave Valenti, 231 Goshen Road. What happened is, I know we talked about storm drainage, and we talked about the cost of, and I believe that the initial estimate was much lower than $100,000, if I stand corrected.
The initial estimate that was sent to,
Yeah.
No, I'm
the
sorry.
initial
I'm sorry.
estimate that was sent over to Julia, that if we put it on the one side of the road, it was, I think, $47,000.
Right.
If we put it on the other side of the road, it was $97,000.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing from the neighbors, that individual that does live on the corner, he does not want his property to completely be taken over, is why he, from the very front, which is why he has some opposition, but no, I've never heard anybody say, no, I don't want it on that side. But people have expressed that it would be nice to have it connecting all the way on the other side of the roadway that is township property. And I know it sounds like a lot of money for a sidewalk. I'm not ignorant to that fact. But I think it's also a lot of money for medical bills. It's also a lot of money that people would have to put out if somebody would get hit walking to the bus stop. I think that we're talking about elementary school children here. And I know that there's another proposal on deck here. Everybody wants to make everything look nicer, and this is not a project that has a lot of flash to it. It doesn't have a lot of sparkle, and it's not shovel-ready. But I'm asking it for the kids. I'm asking it for all the kids that are walking down that way every single day, whether that be to the bus stop, or to see their friends that live on the other side of the neighborhood, or for the kids that are walking around when they go trick-or-treating. I personally believe that this sidewalk should have been part of the original housing development that was put in how many years ago. But when you don't have the ability to connect and walk through your own community, that is a townhouse community, that people walk dogs. We go for a walk with my 3 kids. I want to feel safe, and I don't want to have to walk on the road just to explore the entire extent of my community. And that is the sentiment of all the people that signed that petition. Approximately, it was like 20 people or so. And that was just the people that I was able to speak with from the bus stop. That's not including all the people that jog in the neighborhood or all the people that walk their dogs in the neighborhood or that have kids that aren't even in school yet that are going to be impacting them for many years to come. If anybody's ever seen that bus stop at Brimley and Goshen in the morning, you'll see that I can have kids lined up, and I'm sorry, I apologize for my back to all of you, but I mean, there's kids lined up from here all the way back to here. And they're coming from, some are coming from the one side, some are coming back from my direction, which I'm up the hill, so this isn't my own kids that I'm speaking for, but it is kids that my son goes to school with that are in his class. It is a kid who goes to church with us. So I just want to make sure that not only are they safe, but all the kids in the future are safe that have to live in our neighborhood. And as we know, the townhouses community, I mean, we've got a lot of kids. Nobody can deny that. I mean, half of them might want to slap around half the time, right? But, and not always have parental guidance. So sometimes we as a community need to show that we want them safe. And it's the little things. I know I go back to just putting a light up at my park. It has changed it from a place where literally I had to call the police because there was people getting high and kids getting drunk and leaving beer cans. But just putting up the light, we stopped it. We don't have that anymore. So we're just asking for a sidewalk to make sure that we don't have any kids running around the street that could potentially get hit. And the other topic that is near and dear to my heart that's on the agenda is, because we do have a very busy intersection there. So thank you very much for your time.
I think in both circumstances, you could do the work entirely within the township right of way and do an accessible ramp at either end of it. It's really the board's preference which side of the road you select. There are certainly construction advantages to putting it on the south side of the road. It's shorter distance, the grading's a little easier, less likely to impact mature trees. But if the community is really looking to use the other side of the street, then you have the pleasure of weighing that out, and I leave that to the board's wisdom.
Now, do these grants go up to the $100,000 which we're looking for? Is there a limit on these 2040 grants?
You're not dealing with a limit. You're not dealing with a limitation here. I think you could go up to 200,000.
I did want to echo some of what Dana had said in my conversations with residents. I live on Goshen Road, and I've been very forthright about that. I've said that from the beginning. Particularly in the summer, but ironically, today and yesterday, with weather, I've been able to be outside, and there are a lot of people that are walking up and down this road that are not able to use the sidewalk. And we talk about the importance of public safety as a local government, and I think this is an example. And I understand right now the question is, what side of the road is preferred to do this study on? I will make mention, I believe, if I'm correct, and I guess somebody can answer it from the Parks and Rec Board, I believe there was some discussion in the future about potentially putting in I don't know what to call it, but some sort of environmental park, per se, up in an area that could connect to the northern side of the sidewalk. And since Donna Lynn is the chair of the Parks and Rec Board, I'm just going to ask you if you could potentially answer that question. I don't know.
So you're referring to the Cedar Hill Park?
Well, I just want to make mention, the reason this is relevant to the discussion is if there is this potential walk or park, it would connect down to that area, to that sidewalk.
So we have a cleanup, Pam, we have a cleanup?
Well, we're going to be cleaning it up in April. There's a lot of trash and debris up there, and there's no plan right now. We haven't finalized the plan for that area, but there is already a walk, a
Like a
a
trail?
walkway trail that the people have created up over the hill there, and there's a nice vista up there, and the plan is to do a natural trail, gravel trail up onto that hill, maybe do some clearing out of debris. We were talking about possibly having a side trail going down the hill to Goshen, which might interface with that
With the
sidewalk, but we don't have the final plans for that right now. This year we're concentrating on just getting it cleaned up.
So we know the cleanup date's set for April
6th.
April
Thank you.
6th. Thank you.
April 6th.
Listen, and I appreciate, thank you both for answering that. Part of the reason I had asked about that was, again, because what Anna just mentioned, the potential for a trail to come down to Goshen, and if the sidewalk was on that side, that would just make sense for people to walk throughout the community a little bit more safely.
So I just want to clarify, so it sounds like we're looking at the longer sidewalk, which requires $6,000 or less.
Yeah,
That's over a week's work. right?
Oh, yeah. And you've got surveyors to go out and these plans on that, yes.
And then the additional money could potentially be paid for in the grant. The additional
Yes.
$7,000 you're talking about.
That would be correct, yes.
Okay.
You could wrap that in design plus the building.
So, can we have a motion? Move forward.
And this would be a motion to authorize the township engineer to perform the design work as she presented for an amount not to exceed $6,000.
Correct.
And please call that preliminary design work.
Preliminary design.
Preliminary design.
I will make that motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. CVS Park. Jackie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie O'Neill from the Park Board, and this is Pam Wright, also from the Park Board. I'm also a Master Watershed Steward, and we are here today to propose the transformation of CVS Park into a vibrant village center. So we're excited to talk about that. Just to give you background of why. Lower Frederick it's a charming town. It's got lots of natural and historic assets, but it's not really well known, and it doesn't really have a town center. It's also currently underutilized, but it's sitting there with so much possibility. It's so visible, it's centrally located, it's adjacent to most of our businesses, and the logical location for a township center. Also, there's 40 ash trees that are dying from emerald ash borer that will be removed, or need to be removed. They're dead at that whole south quadrant, and it would leave a low-lying, saturated, barren area. And just to give you an image, this is it after a rainstorm.